Hi and welcome. I'm Brad Kuvan, Editorial Director of Metal Forming Magazine at the Precision Metal Forming Association. And this is our Before the Floor segment where we're highlighting FABTECH 2023 exhibitors as we head toward the show in Chicago in September. So I'm here today with Jim Landowski. He's the Sales Division President at Komatsu. And we're going to hear from Jim on his perspectives on the state of the metal forming industry and learn about some new developments at Komatsu, and of course, specifically focus in on what's on tap for Komatsu at FABTECH this year. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Brad.
Great to see you again, and let's go ahead and jump right into this. Tell us about some market conditions that you're seeing out there, and specifically how Komatsu has developed some new technology to adjust to those market conditions.
Well, one of the main things that we've been doing for quite a while is what I call PFA, which is predictive failure analysis. And we've been doing this now for about 9 to 10 years with the major OEMs in this industry in North America here. And PFA, predictive failure analysis, is pretty key to OEMs and manufacturers in general. So they need to know if there's going to be a potential problem so they can address it before it happens. Right now, it's sometimes it used to be called just-in-time production. Now it's called just-in-case production, it seems. So, but it becomes more and more imperative to collect that information and get it to the customers. It started out in the larger press areas for the OEMs, but now we're trying to scale that down to put it in the smaller press lines as well. So, and it takes a long time to do PFA because you have to collect a lot of data to give a base to build the algorithms that are going to protect the customers. So, but that's part of the newest thing we're doing right now is in the failure analysis.
So does that involve installing sensors in the press, or what does that involve actually?
It involves sensors because you have to monitor what's going on. For example, bearings. This is one example I can give you. People think when bearings get hot, it's a sign of they're going to fail. Well, the good failure analysis is not how hot it gets, it's how long it takes to cool down. So these type of things we're learning through the industry, and that's the data we're collecting. Okay. So there's sensors, there's algorithms, there's a lot of variables that you have to address. It's not really simple, but we've been doing this for almost 10 years now, collecting the data. So we got a pretty good head start.
Excellent. Okay. So anything then specific FABTECH 2023 attendees can expect to see at the Komatsu booth in Chicago?
Yeah, talking about the market in general, what people are asking for right now is automation. How do we automate? How do we continue to be productive and competitive? Excuse me. So what you're going to see at the show, you're going to see Komatsu servo presses working with cobots, collaborative robots. Excuse me. Too much coffee today. In addition, you're going to also see the other work that we've done with a program that we installed called Contracts, in which it's a remote monitoring system that we've got installed in almost all the OEM presses that we have in the United States and Mexico and Canada. And this gives you the ability to monitor your OEE and monitor your press operations overall anywhere in the world. So you'll be able to see that as well. But the theme of this is automation and getting information transferred to make a good decision on your productivity. So you have the cobots, you have the contracts, you have integration. So that's the theme that we're trying to show. It's not just the press going down and up, it's also how we integrate to a system to solve manufacturing problems.
Sure. So you'll actually have cobots handling blanks in the booth?
Yes, we'll have cobots there, and we'll have them in between some servo presses in addition to the contract stuff. So be able to see how we work together, especially with the servo technology, because servo presses are much easier to automate and control with the cobots. And a lot of our customers are doing just that. We still have a supply, I won't call it a supply problem, but we have basically a operator issue going on in our country. We can't find people, and our customers are turning to us for solutions. How do I do this? How do I do that? So we're getting challenged a lot to do the automation and integration, not with just our equipment, but our equipment to the customer's equipment. And it's not as simple as just collecting or putting two red wires together. You've got to do programming. You've got to understand their IOs to your IOs, how the two machines can talk to each other. And then, of course, you have the paramount safety issue. That's why the cobots are so important, because the cobots were designed to work next to humans. And that's the thing that we're trying. We get a lot of that. That's the thing that's really paramount today.
Certainly a lot of conversation about cobots going on in our industry.
Oh, yes, there is.
Obviously, metal formers need a lot of support after equipment like this gets installed. Talk a little bit about after the sale customer support from Komatsu and anything new that you've got going on in terms of training.
Well, the basic theory that we have is that we're no longer is this industry a buyer-seller. This is a team effort. You're a partner with your customer. So that's just not getting a sale, but it's supporting after the sale, and not just within the warranty period, but after. So training and retraining is very common today because of the turnover in operators and all the challenges they're facing. So typically, we don't charge for retraining, because we'll get calls from customers to say, oh, I've got another shift I want to bring on, or this guy left, or that guy left. And so we'll just go and retrain them again. We typically don't charge for that because it helps both of us to keep that machine in production. Support is not just, it's not just material things. It's applying the service and the support to the customer to keep his education up, keep his people trained. And if there's a new technology coming out, something we see that could help him, if we see something in his application, we'll make that suggestion, to keep it going. Because, like I say, it's no longer a buyer-seller thing. It's a partnership, and that's how we viewed it, and that's the way we'll continue to watch it.
And I assume the automation training goes along with all of that. People shouldn't shy away from cobots because they're worried about support for a system like that.
We don't build the robots, but we do support the interfaces, and we make recommendations to them. Because, like in this country, especially point of operation guarding is the sole responsibility of the user. That's the law here. So we have to make recommendations. We can't tell them how to do something, but we can recommend things that maybe he should look at or just consider, and recommend suppliers that they can talk to. Okay. We have a big supply base of people that we work with from a variety, because our industry is so diverse, from medical, aerospace, defense, to plastics, metals, non-metals. We touch everything. In fact, like, right now where you're sitting, you're not more than 5 feet away from a product that's not made in the press. Okay. So that's what we touch. Plastics, you name it, we're there.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. And last question, Komatsu has a very storied history globally and certainly in North America. What should metal formers, what's important for metal formers and fabricators to know about Komatsu's history?
Well, Komatsu's history is just kind of long, and it's very, very unique in a lot of areas. We're 100 years old. The first machine we made was back in 1924, and it was a press. People think of Komatsu as construction equipment and bulldozers and mining and all that, but we're a lot more. And the advantage that we have is what I call co-engineering. A lot of the technologies you see in the Komatsu presses today were co-engineered out of some of the construction area as well. For example, Komatsu has had hybrid excavators out in the field for over 10, 15 years. The batteries in that and the storage capacity units in those hybrid excavators were adapted to put in our servo presses. So they've been in the field, tested and tried and fire tested for over a decade or more. So it's not a new technology that we just go buy something from the third-party vendor and put it in. This is something we designed, we developed, we employed it, and then we adapted it to this technology. Same with a lot of the clutches in the old days, the clutches and the equipment. Those clutches and the plates and the design of those things were adapted to presses as well. So from constructing the bulldozers, from the start, stop in the field, and taking that kind of torture test, if you will, and putting it into a mechanical press. That's the advantage we have of what I call co-engineering again, adapting technologies that we designed and developed in the field.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I didn't realize that the first machine from Komatsu was a press, and I bet you most people don't know that either.
Well, they didn't. I gave a talk to the group here. This is the corporate headquarters. We've got about 500 people in here, and I gave a presentation of our division to them, and they were the same thing. I asked that same question. what was the first machine Komatsu made? I heard this answer, that answer. No, it was a press. And I showed him the picture of the guy standing next to it in 1924. Of course, I had to tell people that wasn't me in the picture too. But that's our history. And we started making machinery like presses and sheet metal equipment to make that construction equipment. We made our own presses and other equipment to make that equipment. So we started out from ground zero making it and then adapted accordingly. So that's how we've grown. The first servo press was put in production back in 1998. That was when we first had presses in production in Japan, servos. And look where we've gone from then to there. It's been generations of changes, but constant upgrades and improvement through the years.
Yeah, very good. Okay, Jim. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we certainly look forward to seeing you at FABTECH in Chicago this coming September.
Okay, thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys then.
All right, take care. Bye.
Take care.